Have not done this in a while. Hey friends, it's KT. I've been pretty absent for a few weeks on social media in general, especially in the Nerf world. I've been pretty busy with music stuff, but mostly I was sick with the big thing that a lot of people have been sick with, and thankfully my family got through it relatively easy. One kid came home with it, and when that happens, it's pretty much inevitable. But I was able to get rid of it in time to travel for a wedding, which I had a great time at. I went and played guitar at my friend's wedding, got to attend. It was totally beautiful. Did the tiniest bit of thrifting when I was in California, literally found a vintage Nerf arrow and a rocket, and that was it. I'm excited to be kind of getting back into the swing of things and making Nerf content again. And this video is going to serve as a little bit of a update on these kinds of things and just the recent history of where I've been and what's coming up, and as well as a clearinghouse for a bunch of things I have lying around the studio that never got videos made about them and probably won't get videos made about them. And I'm just going to kind of talk about them all quickly here and why I'm kind of sloughing them off to the side. Partly just because they're taking up space in my brain and it's been difficult to get past feeling like I have these things piled up that are just never going to get the attention that most other good things that I actually care about get. And this way I can kind of move on past them. I'll try to just put them in the thumbnail, put them in the description, so if anyone's searching my channel for my opinions on these things, they'll hopefully find this video. As far as what's coming in the future, I have quite a few unboxings to do right now, so there's no shortage of new product to be reviewing. I also still have the full-length review to do in the Alpha Auto 72. I actually recorded this review once and then watched the footage and hated it. I just didn't have the energy I thought the blaster deserved, so gonna re-record that one. I have some 3D printed parts to install some blasters I recently got from Foamdemic that have not gotten videos yet. I also picked up a bunch of stuff from Blaster Barn when they first opened, and I've mentioned a bunch of these things on other platforms, but I have not brought them up on YouTube yet. This one in particular has really interesting things going on with it. I've been talking to Taffy, who of course is designing the red herring, which is an improvement of this design. They are a huge wealth of knowledge on the Piranha in particular and have already sent me a replacement part that I'll be installing, and then this will get kind of full coverage. And hopefully I'm going to get my hands on a red herring to do comparison work with. So in addition to a bunch of short form content, that's all stuff that's coming up in the future. I would also be remiss if I didn't point out that I am in fact wearing some Family Foamsport merch. Now this is a hoodie which came from TeePublic. I'm not super happy with the hoodie. The coloring on it is somewhat faded, but it is a cozy hoodie, and I wore it in California all weekend and really enjoyed it. So if you don't mind that, you can pick up the hoodie, but the t-shirts look great. The t-shirts look really fabulous, super happy with them. There's a link in the description to where the merch is. There's also stickers, which also don't look awesome. There's a couple different tank top designs, which I haven't ordered, but a couple of my friends have, and they said that they looked great. There's also a tote bag, and the tote bag looks good. I thought I had the tote bag here. Yeah, the tote bag came out awesome, and I think this is the largest this logo has ever been printed, so this is certainly worth checking out. It comes in multiple different sizes. This is a project that I've been sitting on for a while. I have a variety of types of rival ammo. When the new AccuRival came out, everybody was kind of unsure whether it was actually an improvement. So far, the consensus seems to be it's more or less the same, but I haven't seen a really scientific or even like pseudoscientific analysis of it. So in here, I've got normal Rival, I've got a bunch of Rival Edge rounds, the Adventure Force rounds, and then I've got the AccuRival, and the idea is to do the most scientific comparison I can of them in terms of accuracy. It's a good winter project because I'm going to want to be doing that indoors, so sometime soon I'm hoping to finally dig into this. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back and working on new projects. If you're excited to see this stuff, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Most of my viewers, as I'm sure you hear a lot of YouTubers talking about, are not subscribed to the channel, and having the subscriber number go up is really beneficial. I'm feeling extremely lucky to have climbed over 1,000 subscribers while I wasn't even producing new content. So Thank you everybody so much for your support. Now, what I think is probably the most fun part of this video, these are the things that have come into my studio that are probably never going to get videos. If a bunch of people comment on this and there's a specific thing that everybody wants to see content about, maybe I'll dig into it. But as of right now, this stuff is all kind of just languishing, and I have a feeling it's going to stay that way. First and foremost is the Rival Curve Sideswipe. Wait, no. Curve is the other model. What are they called? I can't even remember. This, of course, was a line of Rival blasters that used the gimmick where you turn this and the hop-up makes the round curve one way or the other. I did mess around with the Helix and did a review on that and found, like most other reviewers, that the curving mechanism does work, but it's not really much more effective than just turning the blaster. But of course the Helix doesn't necessarily allow you to turn the blaster because it uses a sort of weird dual inline hopper mechanism. This at least does let you turn the blaster, but again, you're supposed to do, it's very silly. Most importantly, however, this one never worked. It doesn't feed properly. I did open it up to try to figure out why it wasn't feeding properly. There wasn't an obvious solution, and at some level I just didn't care enough to keep spending time on it. Someday maybe I'll take this and hack it into some completely different blaster, but it is not going to get a review in its current form. It's now a couple years old. Rival has moved on to the AccuRival line, which I think is just a superior product line in general, so rip. Next up is the Nerf Skeet Shooter. Bobololo did a great video comparing this to the old version of the Skeet Shooter. This is one of these products that's not actually made by Nerf. Here, I did actually find the manual on the ground. So it's made by Jazzwares, and it has a product number of NER0310. So clearly a product made under license. This has been kicking around the studio and having the discs get lost and then found again and then lost and then found again over and over and over again. The fact that it takes 4D batteries to shoot something a few feet in the air is pretty disappointing. Let's see if I can even remember. It's also really not... Okay, activate mode. It won't start. There's like a button on the bottom that has to be pressed in order for it to start. But if I remember correctly... Oh, it's not... I think it's not loaded. I don't even know where the discs are. Anyway, I played around with this. I got it to operate, and I showed it to my kids, and they just didn't really care because I did find some of the discs. Let's see if putting these in here makes it function. So it should... there we go. Whoop. Not convinced. Okay, well... This has been kind of the entire experience. The manual doesn't explain how the buttons work very well, and then when I finally got it working, it was just kind of unimpressive. But I showed this to my kids, and after dealing with all that stuff, they just kind of went back to shooting down cups. So, not recommended. Next up, and I'm actually really bummed about this one, I picked up pretty inexpensively at a vintage shop, Nerf pool, and this is a complete Nerf pool set with the box. Very kind of cool piece of history. It's got these corner pockets that clamp onto a table, and it's got all of the balls. The balls are interesting. They're like hard plastic balls that are felted. They're kind of more like some weird old Christmas ornaments that you might encounter. The cue is sort of bent a little bit, but works fine. Everything is here, and I did at some point set it up and take some footage, and I just never could, like, I'm not set up to take footage of a pool table because that's not really in my wheelhouse, and was never really happy with the footage. It took a lot of work to make the footage that I got, and I'm kind of just burned out on it. Like, I love vintage Nerf stuff, and I love these old boxes, but this is just kind of before my time, and it's neat to have it in the collection, but would you even watch a video about this? Like, it's kind of neat to see the old stuff, but, you know, it's so far off the brand of doing dart shooting that it just feels a little pointless. Next up, and somewhat disappointingly, is the Halo Infinite Bulldog. And now, my kids were really excited about this when they got it. They still love to run around with it. You might have noticed it in some of the gameplay footage that I posted a while back. This went out on the field with my youngest, and he was very excited to play with it, and didn't tell me that after he fired a few shots out of it, the rotation mechanism jammed, so it doesn't advance on prime anymore. I opened it up and fixed it, and then when I closed it again, it stopped working again. And like the Sideswipe before it, I just am not really, I don't really care. Like, I don't want to get back into this and fix it. The MA40 is way more enjoyable as a Halo blaster. So this is one of those things that I am probably just not going to put the effort back into getting into and dealing with. And last but not least, something that I was actually very excited to make a video about because I have 5 cats. And so when I saw that Nerf made a Catnip disc launcher, I was going to make a video playing with this with my 5 cats and doing a review. I was going to do a 1-minute review and make it funny and do all this stuff. I even got my hands on just like a cheap disc shooter so that I could show, you know, conceptually how this works. They're just little sprung disc launchers. And these disc shooters rely on the ammo being super light. So these are really thin little foam discs, way lighter than Vortex. They shoot with very little power, but they float very effectively. They bounce off corners like Vortex does. The problem is the Catnip disc launcher is very low powered, which is probably a safety feature because these Catnip discs, they're a little bit heavier than the normal discs, but realistically, I have to pull this trigger all the way. So it went like 2 feet and fell on the ground. These discs just don't launch effectively. It doesn't work. And on top of that, my cats have just been completely unimpressed with the Catnip. And to make matters worse, when you pull back on the this trigger, it's supposed to turn this laser light on. Now, I lost the battery cover at some point because this has been kicking around my garage for so long now, but I can tell you right now, you put 2 AAA batteries in here, it's not a laser, it's just a red LED. And it's a lot like the Fire Strike or the Night Finder, but where it's just an LED that's like slightly focused, and you can sort of get like a circle on the wall, but you can't, definitely it's not the kind of laser that cats like to play with. So on some level, this was just so disappointing that I didn't even want to make the joke video about it. My cats did not care. I couldn't get them excited. I didn't want to promise this cat play video and then have my cats just be uninterested the entire time. I don't know, maybe that's funny, but it's just a lot of work, and now this is such a dead concept in my mind that it's probably just going to sit around here forever. I have lost those Catnip discs, even though they only went like 2 feet. So there you go. Now we have put those things to rest and we can move forward into the future. We'll be talking about Nerf's adventure in gel blasting. I also have a couple other gel blasters on their way to me in the mail, so we will be able to do some comparisons. I'm very excited to talk about the return of rockets in Nerf. And we're also going to look at the what I'm fairly confident is Nerf's first foray into an actual rotating bolt action blaster. So plenty to look at and talk about. Lots of videos coming up soon. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe, all those algorithm things, and until then, I'll see you on Monday. Oh, here it is. I finally found it. Way down here at the very bottom. Package and content, copyright 1984, Parker Brothers, Beverly, Massachusetts, 01915.